Ethan Cole had learned how to appear calm. He spoke carefully. He smiled at the right moments. He rarely disagreed. People trusted him because he never caused discomfort. But every night, when the noise of the world faded, Ethan felt something pressing from inside. Not pain, not fear, but unspoken weight. It felt like a sentence that began long ago and was never allowed to finish. Ethan didn't call it anxiety. He called it normal. One evening, after a long day of pretending to be fine, Ethan sat alone in his apartment. The silence felt heavier than sound. He closed his eyes, and something answered. Ethan stood in a vast, colorless space. There were no walls, no sky. Only a soft hum, like breathing without lungs. A voice spoke, not from behind, not ahead, but within. You finally stopped running. Ethan turned. A figure stood there. Not a reflection, not a shadow. Someone familiar, but unfinished. Who are you? Ethan asked. The figure replied calmly, I am the part of you that existed before words. Before Ethan could respond, the ground shifted. Scenes began to appear. Not memories, but sensations. The tightness in his chest during arguments. The hollow feeling after praise. The exhaustion of always being agreeable. These are not problems, the figure said. These are signals you learn to ignore. They walked into a massive hall filled with shelves. Each shelf held invisible books. Ethan reached for one. What are these? He asked. Experiences you never fully felt, the figure replied. When emotion is suppressed, the subconscious stores it without language. One book opened on its own. Ethan felt sudden sadness, sharp and unexpected. A childhood moment surfaced. He was young, excited, sharing an idea. Someone laughed. He stopped speaking. That was small, Ethan said. No, the figure corrected. That was formative. Ethan realized something unsettling. His personality was not built by big traumas. It was built by small moments repeated silently. Why does this still affect me? Ethan asked. The figure answered gently, because the subconscious does not understand time. If something felt unsafe once, it stays alert forever. Images flashed, Ethan avoiding conflict, Ethan choosing silence, Ethan confusing peace with absence of self. You didn't become this way by choice, the figure said. You adapted. The word landed heavily. Adapted, not weak, not broken. Adapted. They entered a narrow room. The air felt tight. This is where you learned control, the figure said. Ethan felt it instantly. The need to manage impressions, reactions, outcomes. I just wanted stability, Ethan said. Yes, the figure replied. But control is what happens when safety is uncertain. Ethan saw the truth. Control wasn't strength, it was a strategy. And every strategy has a cost. Suddenly, the figure stopped. Ahead was darkness. You can't follow me beyond this point, the figure said. What's there? Ethan asked. The figure's voice softened. Raw fear. Not danger, just sensation. Ethan hesitated. I might lose myself, he said. The figure replied, You only lose yourself by avoiding yourself. So Ethan stepped forward. The darkness wasn't violent. It was intense. His heart raced. His breath shortened. But nothing attacked him. And slowly, the sensation passed. For the first time, Ethan realized fear is temporary when it is allowed. When the darkness faded, the figure returned. You think your identity is your thoughts, it said. But thoughts come last. It touched Ethan's chest. Identity is formed in the body first. The tension, the posture, the breath patterns. Ethan understood. He wasn't overthinking. He was overholding. You don't need to change your life tomorrow, the figure said. Then what do I do? Ethan asked. Notice, it replied. Notice when your body tightens. Notice when silence feels safer than truth. Notice without judgment. Ethan nodded. The space began to fade. Will I see you again? Ethan asked. The figure smiled. I never left. You just started listening. Ethan opened his eyes. Morning light filled the room. Nothing dramatic had changed, but something subtle had. His thoughts felt slower. His body felt present. That day, Ethan spoke once when he would have stayed silent. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And inside him, something loosened. That night, as Ethan drifted into sleep, the voice returned, soft and clear. Your subconscious is not trying to control you. It is trying to keep you safe using old rules. When you listen, it updates. And for the first time in years, Ethan slept without tension. Not because life was solved, but because he was finally home. When Ethan woke up the next morning, something was different. Nothing in the room had changed. The same ceiling fan, the same pale light slipping through the curtains. But his awareness had sharpened, as if a veil had been quietly lifted. Thoughts no longer rushed at him like a storm. They arrived slowly, one by one, asking to be understood. The old man's voice from the dream echoed again. The mind is not one room. It is a house with many locked doors. Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, feeling a strange pressure in his chest. Not pain, but attention. For the first time in years, he wasn't trying to escape his thoughts, he was listening. At work, the world continued as usual. People complained, laughed, worried about deadlines, but Ethan noticed something unsettling. Everyone was reacting, not choosing. A harsh word triggered anger. A small failure triggered shame. No pause, no awareness. That evening, he decided to test something. He sat alone, closed his eyes, and focused on his breathing. Not to relax, but to observe. Within seconds, memories surfaced. A teacher calling him average, a friend outperforming him, his own voice whispering, "You're not enough." Instead of fighting the thoughts, Ethan asked quietly, "Who taught me this?" The question changed everything. The memories slowed, as if surprised. He saw patterns, how criticism became belief, how belief became habit, how habit shaped identity. His subconscious was not cruel. It was conditioned. That night, the dream returned. This time, he stood inside a vast hallway. Doors lined both sides, some bright, some cracked, some completely sealed. The old man appeared again, holding a lantern. "Each door," the man said, "is a program. Fear, confidence, discipline, doubt. Most people live their entire lives inside one or two rooms." Ethan approached a dark door labeled failure. His hand trembled. "I don't want to open that," he said. The old man smiled gently. "That's why it controls you." With effort, Ethan pushed the door open. Inside, he saw every moment he had quit early, every excuse, every time he chose comfort over growth. The room was heavy, but honest. Then something unexpected happened. Behind those memories, another door appeared. Smaller, hidden. Its label read, "Resilience." Ethan opened it. The room glowed. He saw himself getting back up after setbacks, learning silently, improving without applause. Moments he had forgotten. Times he was stronger than he believed. The old man's voice softened. The subconscious hides strength behind pain. Most people run before they find it. When Ethan woke up, his heart was racing, not with fear, but clarity. From that day, he began rewriting small things. When his mind said, "I can't," he replied, "I'm learning." When fear appeared, he didn't suppress it, he examined it. Slowly, something shifted. His posture changed, his voice steadied, not because life became easier, but because his inner dialogue transformed. Weeks later, someone at work asked, "What happened to you?" Ethan thought for a moment, then said, "I stopped believing every thought my mind produced." That night, the old man appeared one last time. "You have learned the first rule," he said. "What rule?" Ethan asked. The man raised the lantern, illuminating countless doors still unopened. "Your subconscious listens more than it speaks. Choose your words carefully." The hallway faded, but the lesson stayed. Ethan understood now. The mind is not an enemy, it is a student. And the teacher is awareness. Change did not arrive like lightning. It arrived like silence. Ethan began to notice the space between thoughts, the pause where nothing spoke. At first it felt uncomfortable, almost empty. His mind, used to constant noise, tried to fill it with worry, comparison, and old fears. But now, Ethan recognized something important. That voice was not him. One evening, while walking alone, a familiar thought surfaced, "You'll fail again." For the first time, Ethan didn't argue or obey. He simply asked, "Whose voice is this?" The question echoed inside him. Images rose, his father's disappointment, society's expectations, moments where approval mattered more than truth. The voice had been borrowed, repeated so many times it felt personal. But it wasn't. That night, the dreamscape changed again. Ethan stood in a circular room with no doors, only mirrors, hundreds of them. Each reflection showed a different version of him, confident, fearful, angry, disciplined, lazy, hopeful. The old man stood at the center. "This," he said, "is the identity chamber." Ethan walked closer to a mirror, showing him tired and defeated. "I've lived as this one," he whispered. "Yes," the man replied, "because repetition creates reality." Another mirror caught Ethan's attention. This version stood calmly, eyes steady, breath slow. No arrogance, no fear. "Who is that?" Ethan asked. The old man lowered his lantern. "The one you practice becoming." Suddenly, the mirrors began to speak, not aloud, but internally. "I am what you do daily. I am what you tolerate. I am what you avoid." The voices merged into one truth. Identity is not discovered, it is trained. When Ethan woke, his heart was heavy, but focused. He stopped waiting for motivation. Instead, he acted small and consistent. Woke up on time, spoke with intention, finished tasks even when resistance screamed inside him. The subconscious pushed back. Fatigue intensified. Old habits begged for comfort. His mind whispered, "Why change now?" But Ethan had learned something crucial. Resistance appears right before reprogramming. One evening, exhausted, he almost quit. He sat quietly and listened inward. The old man's voice did not appear. Instead, a new voice rose, calmer, firmer. "If you stop now, you train weakness. If you continue, you train strength." Ethan realized something profound. The subconscious had begun to echo his conscious choices. That night, the dream returned for the final lesson. The old man looked older now, fading. "You won't see me again," he said. "Why?" Ethan asked. "Because guidance is temporary. Self-leadership is permanent." The man pointed to Ethan's chest. "The voice you hear now, that is the one you built." Ethan felt fear rise. "What if I build the wrong one?" The old man smiled. "You already know the answer." Ethan answered quietly, "I choose carefully." The lantern dimmed. The mirrors dissolved. When Ethan woke, the world felt the same, but he was not. He understood now. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. Emotions are signals, not masters. The subconscious is loyal, not logical. It follows whatever is repeated with feeling. Ethan stepped into the day, not chasing success, not running from fear, but training his inner world daily. Because once the mind is mastered quietly, life begins to change loudly.